And is the city prepared to present its case?
Yes,
Is the respondent here?
yes.
Okay, here I'm Mr. Okay.
Okay,
All right, you may proceed.
all right. So just working through the PowerPoint, the property belongs to the respondent, Brendan Miller. The property address is 162 Bimini Road. The home was purchased in November 2020. The next few slides are just taxes, just again showing this is the correct property owner. Okay, on page 9. Perfect. The city believes that there is a violation of section 13-2 and requested that the respondent obtain a business tax receipt for running a vacation rental at this property. I did send a $100 citation for operating the business without a BTR. On the following slide, the city also believes that the respondent is in violation of section 26.5-21 due to the vacation rental being in the RS1 zone. The RS1 application would also need to be completed to properly run the vacation rental. On the following slide, you'll see the courtesy letter with the corrective actions and the citation that was mailed both via first class and certified mail. There's the cert receipt. The green card came back. It did not come back. On slide 15, I emailed the respondent after he came into the finance department to formally contest his citation. And then we communicated about coming here today, and the citation has not been paid. Therefore, on slide 17, I sent the notice of magistrate hearing. Again, just going through the due process of everything. If you click, again, certified mail and first class mail. Green card was returned, and we did speak about coming here today, and he's here. Okay, so on slide 23, we begin the evidence. So you will see Rentalscape, the live listings that are shown to be renting the vacation rental property since March of 2023 that we can see. On the following slide, you see the Airbnb listing titled number 162, hosted by someone named Cassandra. The vacation rental property does have active listings and reviews. If you go to slide 27, you can see most recent reviews from August all the way back until 2023. Again, if you continue the slide, just reviews showing that the listing is live, and then again the same with the website VRBO. And essentially, in summary, this is a live listing for vacation rentals. It is actively taking bookings, and so the city is requesting that the respondent obtain the BTR for the business, obtain the RS1 registration due to being in the RS1 zone, pay the $100 citation, and per statute section 205.053, maybe be fined $250 for not obtaining the BTR.
Okay. So you're requesting that the the maximum fine under 205.053 be imposed, plus whatever late fees are by statute.
Yes, sir.
And then as to the other violation, what would be the daily fine?
The daily fine is $500 for the first day and $250 every day thereafter if the RS1 registration is not completed.
That's the fine you,
Yep, that's the suggestion for our code.
does the city plan on introducing the PowerPoint presentation?
I would like to introduce it into evidence, if that's okay. Yes.
Mr. Miller, you've seen it, obviously, right? You have any objection?
No, I don't dispute.
Okay, it's so admitted then.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Mr. Miller, do you have any cross-examination?
No.
No? Okay. Does the city have anything further?
No.
Okay, Mr. Miller, would you like to present any evidence?
Yeah, I came here to tell my story and I guess ask for sympathy, maybe mercy. I purchased the property, as you saw in the evidence there, which I do not dispute, in 2020 as, you know, primary residence and the place that I wanted to be. I'm really fond of the community. I love my home. Unfortunately, there's been a sequence of events which caused me having to list the property, to go through them quickly. You know, seawall went, had to replace that. It was very expensive. I got caught up in the legacy pools scandal, lost a $20,000 deposit there. Had to redo the pipes. Like, these were things that came up that I just wasn't expecting. I'm young and just trying to stay above water. I also am fearful that Citizens is going to drop me and force me to redo my roof, which will be quite expensive. Fortunate to have parents in the area, so at 31 years young, I moved back in with them. Listed the property. I stay there whenever it's not booked, but just trying to get back into a financial position where I can move back into the home I plan to spend the better part of my life. It wasn't a unilateral decision for whatever it's worth. You know, I spoke to my neighbors. So yeah, I was just hoping to come and kind of present to you and see if there is any middle ground, given, you know, my situation. That's what I got.
Okay, well, the city's asking that you be ordered to pay your tax, the business tax receipts. That's just a payment of a tax. It's really not a license, within 2 weeks. Isn't that correct, Ms. Crawford?
Yes, that's correct.
And what is the time frame that you would like to see for the registration as a rental?
If we could also just start that process within the next 2 weeks, just to begin the process, that would be acceptable. 'Cause I know
2
it's-
weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Okay. So what the city is asking for is that the order provide that you have 2 weeks to take care of everything before any fines result as to the rental. Now, under the business tax receipt, like I said, it's really a payment of a tax. It's nothing more. It used to be called the local, business license. It used to be called occupational license, I'm sorry. Fighting the head cold. Occupational license is not a license, it's just a payment of a tax. And the statutes provide what happens if you don't pay the tax on time and what the penalties are. So that's just something that happens. You agree with that, Ms. Crawford?
Yes.
But the city's still saying 2 weeks for that. So could you tell me why would you need more time than that? Why, and why? would
I
it be?
I can move forward, and I will do so within the 2-week window. That's not a problem. My understanding and concern is the registration of the property as a commercial. It loses my homestead exemption.
Hang on. Ms. Crawford's nodding her head yes. That's between you and the property appraiser. Okay? That's between you and the property appraiser. Now, homestead is a very metaphysical thing in Florida because it's what your intent is on January 1st of each year. And property appraisers are very jealous of making that determination. I've experienced that with other code enforcement proceedings. So that's between you and the property appraiser, okay? So it had nothing to do with that. Now, can the property appraiser use evidence that you're renting the place? Absolutely. Can the property appraiser determine that on January 1st you intended to have that as your permanent residence? That's up to the property appraiser. But
That was my
nothing
primary
happens-
concern and reason for
Nothing
doing
happens to your homestead exemption because of this action. Not to beat the horse to death, but that's between you and the property appraiser.
it. Okay.
Okay? You agree with that, Ms. Crawford?
Oh, yes, I don't report
Yeah.
I can report to property appraiser.
Okay?
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Anything else?
Thank you for the time.
Oh, that's everything.
All right. So in this case, I'm going to adjudicate that there is a violation of section 13.2 of the city code and impose the fine of $250, which is set forth in section 205.053 or 53 of the Florida statutes. And whatever the statute says as to increases in terms of the amount of the business tax, that just happens. As to the vacation rental registration, and I'm going to order that you have 2 weeks to do that. Okay? As to the vacation rental registration, I'm going to find a violation of section 26.5-21 and grant you 2 weeks to come into compliance with that statute, and if you do not, the first day of the fine will be $500, and each succeeding day will be $250. And that'll be the orders that will be issued, and you'll be receiving a copy of the written order, okay? All right.
Understood. Thank you.
All right, next case is case number 24-259. The respondent is Mr. Richard Bohr, and the property is located at 1034 Bali Road. Mr. Bohr?
Yes, sir.
All right. You've seen the way it works. Okay.
Mr. Group, can I enter this packet?
Have you seen the PowerPoint, sir?
I have it here.
All right, you have any objection to being introduced into evidence?
No objections.
All right, then it'll be so admitted. Thank you.
Alrighty.
All right.
So this is case DSCE 24-259. The respondent is Richard Borer, and the property address is 1034 Bali Road. We'll briefly go over due process. This is property appraiser showing that Mr. Borer is the owner of the property. And the city believes that he is in violation of section 26.5-53, which talks about the maximum occupancy for vacation rentals in the RS1 zone. The city asked Mr. Boer to please reduce his listings to 8 guests maximum per the code, and to not allow more than 8 guests to stay at the property. On the following slide, you'll see the courtesy letter that was sent in August 29th of 2024, as well as the citation due to the violation of renting the vacation rental over the maximum occupancy, and the fine for that is $500. Both of these were mailed via first-class mail and certified mail. Once the respondent received the mail, he came to the city to formally contest the citation. So I did send out the notice of magistrate hearing at the end of September, again, via first-class mail and certified mail. Due to Hurricane Milton, October meeting was canceled. We did speak about it, and he is here today. So another notice of magistrate hearing was mailed out for today, again, via first-class mail and certified mail, and a corrected one was also submitted. On slide 16, we'll begin the evidence. So the property was registered as an RS1 vacation rental in May of 2024, and at this time, you'll notice occupancy is limited to 2 occupants per bedroom plus 2 occupants to a maximum of 8 occupants. So this is informing the property owner of the code limitation. On the following slide, you can see a brief conversation on our platform, again, just discussing this code and asking that the listings reflect the code. We had previously had a meeting about another topic in July, and at the end of this meeting, in person, we discussed the code again. On slide 19, you can see that the vacation rental is being listed for 16 plus guests on Airbnb. And that data was pulled from August, and then the following data you can see in October, it's the same, 16 plus. The About This Space section again just mentions that it can host large groups. And then on the next slide, I just selected just a couple of recent reviews, again, showing that groups larger than the allowed occupancy continue to rent the property. And then there are comments from the respondent saying, I'm glad you liked it, please come back. So essentially the city's point of view is that he's inviting more than the allowance on a regular basis, which has created some contention within the neighborhood from neighbors. And if you go to slide 25, again, this is another listing on VRBO, again, offering the listing for 16 plus guests. And then the next slide, and then the next one, yep. So again, these are just listings, recent listings. So this one's September 25th, saying, a family of 11 stayed. On the next slide, a family of 17. On the next slide, a family of 10. Then a family of 14. And so it's not one isolated incident. It's not just the listing. It's an ongoing issue. On slide 36, I received this notarized letter from one of the neighbors, just again outlining kind of the issues that have been created because of these large groups. And the reason why we have the RS1 limited to 8 guests is to keep the peacefulness and the quietness of the residential neighborhoods. And it's the city's point of view that allowing this many large groups into the home has kind of disrupted that peacefulness. And then if you go to slide 38, just in summary, the respondent has been operating outside of the code, allowing 16 plus guests at the home. The city is asking that the respondent be found in violation of section 26.5-53, ordered to reduce the listings to 8 occupants, to immediately not allow more than 8 occupants to stay at the home, and to pay the $500 citation that was issued.
So you're not asking for a per day fine, you're asking for a $500 fine?
Yes.
Anything else?
Nothing further.
Sir, do you have any cross-examination?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
So do you want to ask Ms. Crawford questions, or you want to make a presentation?
I do not want to ask questions. I may come up with one at the end that I think is to the gist. I have some little bit of background. First of all, I want to state that I want to be a very good corporate citizen, a citizen of the community, and I have made every effort to do so. I have found, if you can imagine my house on Bali Road, next to me are the neighbors, Tom and Ginny Lacey, who I love, we have a great relationship to, and sort of have that ADT advertisement, we'd trust each other with a water leak if I was off. To my right is another Airbnb. Behind me is another Airbnb. And then off kitty corner is this letter here of David and Christine, who have no manner of aggravation with the fact that it is a sharing economy and people now rent houses to vacationers. He has complained. I would ask Danielle to corroborate this. He has complained about noise violations in the middle of the day with kids in the pool, kids, elementary school. And Dave says when the dad comes in and plays with the kids, it becomes even louder. And I'm like, Dave, I don't know that that's a violation from reading the code, being a good corporate citizen, trying to figure out what is the problem here. They're playing with balls in a pool. When I gave Dave a Christmas gift 2 years ago, and I gave him this thing of coffee and cookies and blah, 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 he's talking to me about anecdotes that shock me, including one that says that a kid kicked a ball into the neighbor next to him, behind me, into his pool, went around to get his ball, and Dave threatened him with bodily force, saying if that owner was in the house, he would shoot you. I'm like, what is wrong with this man? It's like persecution. The lights that he mentions here on the pergola were cut. Who's going to do that? Tom and Jeannie? I don't think so. The owners of the Airbnbs over here? I don't think so. It's bizarre. He complained about the pergola being this far too close to his fence. Fine. So I went, we had a nice meeting, we talked about it. The thing was air-rated from $2,500 pergola with $1,000 installation. It's got to have 10,000 pieces if it has 2. Beautiful pergola over the hot tub. I put in sound deadeners in the roof so that the sound wouldn't ricochet or whatever. So it's that far. It was wind rated for 110. The city engineer said it had to be wind rated for 140. I called engineering companies saying, can we wind rate it, and lag bolted in the thing. I had to liquidate it. Okay, fine. Dave and Christine, I've liquidated my pergola. And that's fine, fair is fair. $3,000 in the toilet. It's fine. Most of the people there are families with grandparents, then the kids, that are my age or middle-aged, and then other kids. 3 generations, they come there because grandma and grandpa are having a 50-year wedding anniversary from Gainesville, and they're coming down, and the family from Boston, and they're quiet, they go to Disney, they go to the beach, they hang about the pool. It's not Animal House, the movie. It's not, I guarantee you. Now, are there cases? Yeah, there are cases that sometimes there's noise. I'm on speed text with Tom and Dave. I'm like, just let me know. I live in Satellite Beach. I'll come right up. I'll say, be quiet. I've done it before. Settle down. It's in the middle of the day. I'm not even sure it's a noise violation there. I think it's after 10. If you're 10 feet away and you're inside someone's property, if you can hear the noise, then it's a violation. I'm asking Danielle to say, will you make sure the police see if that's a violation? Because you know what? Women in the hot tub having a ladies' weekend out with their wine, who knows how foul their language is? Dave, I'm sorry. I don't know if that's a noise violation. I don't think they're screeching and yelling and singing. He's just upset that the house is used. Previously, it wasn't used. It was dilapidated and derelict. I'm sure he would have liked it to remain that way. Okay, but it's not. It's lived in. I go in there all the time. I had my family vacation there this July, which was every manner of aggravation with family you can imagine. I had a friends reunion there. I stay there. Okay, so that's a little background. I'm just going to put that on the shelf because this riles me a little bit, but that's fine. I just want to go on the record of what his story is, this Dave and Christine, and my story is. He says that my lights are flashing too much, my floodlights, so that people have lights, so the next day I'm out there with a contractor angling them differently. Everyone in the neighborhood has lights glowing and blinking. It's a beach town, Dave. I try to respond to everything. I send out notices to people before. I say, watch your you watch your noise. I have it on a little hello card handwritten with a gift coffee that says, watch your noise. I have signs posted everywhere saying, watch your noise. I don't know if I think I've sent you photos of that or what have you. I have another sign that says, shh, don't bother the neighbors, with the arrows for Tom and Christine's house. So I really try to be a good corporate citizen. I want to start with that. I want to get to the point. The point is over occupancy. I want to make a couple counter claims to it. And may just concede this fine and maybe ask your advice on going forward. Number one, in my advertisement, it says maximum people 8. When you order at the $5 value menu at McDonald's, they say, here's a variety of options. Choose 4. You don't get all of them. In these listing sites, you put configurations of beds, and the more the better, because, oh, you know what? We've got 5 boys that are all cousins from Minnesota and Boston, or whatever I just said, and they all want to be together. You don't have a room with 5 beds? Okay, sorry. Swipe left. This is a business. There's a ton of costs, hurricane costs, air conditioners that go bad, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm trying to get those reservations. Okay? So that if you have these beds, these extra fold-out beds and things for configurations, I've had people there that want to sleep in the fold-out bed. I was like, Chris, you have a room up there. Okay, whatever. It doesn't mean they get all of them. It doesn't mean 16 people stay there. Okay? They could have 2 full double beds, 4 kids there, and 1 in every other room, and that's 8. Okay? So, now the question is, are there violations? I don't know of any specific violations. These are reviews. We can presume, and I would assume that you would presume they're accurate, of the people that say, we had such and such. More than 8. I don't go and police them. I don't know how many show up. I often have people say 1. No, 1 person's not going to show up to a 5-bedroom. Right? So then they show up, and Danielle's once said, hey, there's more than 4 cars. I advertised 4 cars. There's plenty of space for more cars, but I said 4 cars. RVs, I think, is against violation. I say, no, if people ask, I tell. I don't know who shows up. And I guess my question is, just trying to see, my question is, what is the city's enforcement? Let me just quote here. Reduce guest allowance. It's advertised as 8. Currently, all listings reflect occupancy of 16. I would counter by saying that's a misinterpretation. It is configuration of up to 16 beds, 16 spaces for a person to sleep. A full queen or king would be 2. It says $500 citation issued for operating over occupancy. Operating means renting. How is the city documenting that? Is it reviews? Because I would advance the proposal that the city needs to document in some fashion that there are more than 8 occupying the house in order to issue a citation per occurrence. Not going through Airbnb and writing 55 checks in order to make $25,000 for the city when they really don't know there's one single violation. Maybe they can go through 55 listings and see 110 reviews, 2 each, and says, oh, we had more than 8, and saying, oh, there, gotcha. Is that really proper documentation? Or should the city show up for $500 and document? Ma'am, do you have more than 8 people staying here? Yes, I do. What's your name? Susie Johnson. Okay, on this date, Susie Johnson, it was documented, had more than 8 people. Here's the citation. I really think that there is a lack of credible proof that's substantiable. I would ask, can you verify any of these reviews with these people in here? Can you call them, document it? How do we know they're not typos? Maybe not. You could presume they're accurate. I don't know. Is that how it's going to be in the future? Every time there's a review that says Mark, because I've advertised it as 8. I really can't tell if certain people come up. Trust me, I've been scammed. We're a Christian organization, blah, 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 and then it's a house party. This was at my other house at Satellite Beach, and they break things, and people ask, do you have an age limit? I immediately say, rejected. If you have to ask, you're not coming because you're college kids, you're 18 or whatever. I really do try, but I really can't control. I really can't control who comes there. I'm sorry to say it. I'm actually conceding that, right? Because I don't stand there at the door handing the keys. You give them a code and they come in, and most of the time, as I described it, it's these triple generation families. They come, they have fun at Cocoa Beach. And I would hope that it's 8, and I guess it's fair to be charged $500 if it's a violation. But again, my question is, what is Cocoa Beach doing to validate this? Because they've obviously got it wrong in saying, oh, it's advertising sleep 16. That's a configuration issue. When my listing says max 8, but how do they define and document incidences of violation?
Well, I don't answer questions, so.
Yes, sir.
If you have a question of Ms. Crawford, you can call her and ask her.
We can share the pulpit, or whatever you call this, the podium.
So I guess my answer would be to agree with Mr. Borer. I have to take all of these reviews and his responses at accurate face value. And there are so many reviews and so many responses from Mr. Borer saying, I'm so glad we can go to specific pages and look. I'm so glad your party of 17 had a great time. Please come back. He's inviting these large groups into the neighborhoods over and over again.
I know for a fact, I'm sorry, there won't be a case in there that says, well, I document the number. Find it. We can take time, you can do the other case. There's not one where I've responded saying, I'm glad you had 17 rights. I'm glad you had a good time. I've never validated the number of people in these responses.
If you give me 1 minute, I can find a response where he's saying, I'm so glad your group had a great time. My dining room table can sit 20 people.
Yeah,
24
people do invite others in. People have asked others to come in for cookouts. They're at other condos, they're at other locations because they have groups, they have different things. They can come in and have a meal, can't they?
It's against the code. We don't allow more than 8. And that's for the RS1 neighborhoods, quiet.
To
and
come
peaceful.
into the house.
Y'all could argue.
Is that what it is? I didn't know. I thought it was occupancy, meaning residing, meaning sleeping, meaning being in a bed. If you have more than 8 people walk through the threshold of the door, that's a violation? What happens when contractors come? If there's 8 people staying there and a contractor comes in?
But y'all can have this,
I mean, I don't know.
Those really aren't questions. I'm gonna
Right.
base my decision on the evidence submitted, and the reviews are evidence.
Yes, sir. I agree.
And, I mean, at least, well, several of them talk about staying. This house was wonderful for our family of 11 to stay for a long weekend.
Yes. No, I
So-
agree.
And I thought that at the beginning, I maybe misunderstood you, but I thought at the beginning of your statement, you were acknowledging that sometimes over 8 stayed.
I don't know that, but I am acknowledging they put that in the review. And presumably, there were. They're not that, I wasn't duped and they said it was 8 and then I drove down the road and everyone came around the corner and parked and there was 11 or whatever. But I'm just, in the future, is it every time there's a review? Because I don't know. Or are you going to document when there's more than 8? Is that your documentation? It's just going to be the reviews? Or you got to go to the door?
This was my attempt to get your
Let-
attention
let-
because we've had so many discussions.
Because I'd like to manage it without getting fines all the time. I don't know
I
what
got
to
you,
do.
and quite frankly, the city, and I don't mean this editorially, I think this is just a fair comment. The city could, and I'm gonna use the word go after, prosecute you, charge you, whatever you want to phrase it, on a per day basis. They could go for $250 a day for each day, and then go for $500 a day for a repeat violation. They're asking for a $500 fine because of one occurrence, not for each of these occurrences. If I got that correct?
Yes, correct. So
Yeah.
there's only.
So
Yeah.
they're asking that one of these occurrences be fined $500, and that in the future, and the issue is, how do you prove the violation in the future? Another $500 per day, not per day, another $500 fine per violation occurrence. So the city's not going after you on a per day basis, which is pretty normal. They're going at just as a one-time violation. So that's, from your point of view, should be a good thing.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
Now,
I understand
the
that.
evidence of these reviews it may not work in a criminal trial, but this is not a criminal trial. This isn't beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay.
This is a lower standard.
Okay.
And this suffices for that standard, I
Okay.
can tell you that.
Okay, I understand.
Ms. Crawford has done well putting these statements together saying that there's been over 8 occupying the premises. And I'm sort of telling you what I'm going to order, but I don't see any other witnesses.
That's fine. I respect that, Your Honor,
But
fully.
in the future, yes, indeed, there has to be new evidence for each violation. How that is presented, whether it's the testimony of your friendly neighbor or Ms. Crawford or another code inspector observing it, or quite frankly, and this is something you might want to think about, that I don't give advice,
Right.
but these reviews are wonderful, but they're also damning.
Yeah.
You know, they're saying all 40 of us or 20 of us or 9 of us had a great time. There you go.
No,
There's some evidence, so.
Yeah, and so, I appreciate all of that, and I receive it verbally and obviously from the city's guidance and penalty. I guess, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask a question, I'm just going to, it's not improper, I'm just saying, I feel harassed by this neighbor who says he feels harried and intimidated. And I think I've talked to Danielle, who said at Miss Crawford, who said at one point, well, Dave is complaining a lot, so I'm going to have to issue a citation soon. And I countered, and I understand that people, can get in her business, which is her business, to respond to violations. And I push back at saying, are they violations? For the noise where kids are splashing in the pool in the middle of the
I
day.
don't see a noise.
I don't know, and I'm just saying that in the case of, that's why I'm pushing back in over 800, because $500 is not immaterial in the cost structures and trying to get by in life. And maybe it's a little more sensitive here in the off season. But that's why I'm just chafing a little bit and saying, well, what are the guidelines? How do I navigate? Because I'm trying to navigate this individual that's complaining about everything: the blinking lights, the floodlights, the gazebo, the people splashing in the pool. And I don't know what to say other than a little bit it's driving me crazy. And in this case, I'm just trying to be a corporate citizen. I've tried with him, and I continue to.
I understand. The city, like most cities, is focused on code compliance, not fines, okay? And there's no allegation of noise, there's no allegation of lighting, there's no allegation of anything except the occupancy, okay? So that should tell you that the city is not targeting you. Now, what you do with a complaining neighbor, all I can tell you is the legislature changed it so that you can't be an anonymous complaining neighbor anymore. 2 years ago, you could be an anonymous complaining neighbor. Now the legislature said, no. If you're going to make a complaint, it has to be known who the complainant is.
Probably
You know who the complainant is.
Inquire and get
Okay,
specifics
so
from that
to some
source.
extent, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But unless there's further evidence to be submitted on either side, I'm ready to rule.
Okay, Your Honor.
In this case, I'm going to find that there was a violation of section 26.5-53 and that the maximum occupancy was exceeded, and that the respondent will be ordered to pay a fine of $500 for this violation. And if there is a repeat violation, the fine would be $500 per occurrence for a repeat violation. And that'll be the order that'll be entered, okay? But that is not a per day fine, that is a one-time fine.
Thank you all for the time. I appreciate that resolution.
All right. The next case is a Massey hearing on case number DSCE 24-203. And this is the Mark Soff and Mandy Thomas property. I thought I saw Ms. Thomas here earlier.
Yeah, I informed Ms. Thomas that because she's getting the final inspection done tomorrow, I couldn't write the affidavit of compliance, so I will present that at the next special magistrate hearing.
Oh, so we're going to continue this one.
Yes, if that's okay.
All right, it'll be continued. All right. They got to be regular customers.
Yes.
All right, is there anything further to come before me today?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then. That being said, we're adjourned.